it's one thing to go, okay, rents are here, they should be here. That's a value add. How else do you add value to these? Like, what are things that are value add drivers that, I can tell you in industrial, we can paint buildings, we can fix roofs, HVACs, we can get spaces ready that have been, old and decrepit. We can hire a better leasing team. I mean, all the above, like what, as it relates to outdoor storage, like what are other things that you can do that drive value to these things?
You sort of touched on them. I think really tenants do care about security. So, beefing up security is important. Lighting, the quality of the finish, the crushed rock or asphalting a site. You can sometimes drive rents there. Maybe it can be a 25% premium. I'm just making that up for like asphalt versus crushed rock. Then again, some tenants actually don't care at all between the difference of those two. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to spec that extra work if you're not actually going to get paid for it. So, it sort of depends. We try to let the tenants tell us what they want, and then, we will put, their desires, and it's almost like a menu. We're like, yeah, we can do this, but it might cost you more in rent.
Okay, I'm going to get like granular here for a little bit.
Okay.
You buy a deal. If you take a site, are all these 100% occupied? And sometimes do the tenants even know if it's 100% occupied? For example, you buy a piece of dirt, there's a couple tenants. I know who some of these owners are. They just own some land, they lease to their buddies. Like, if you buy a site with two tenants, is it 50-50, or like, do they know like, oh, that 10 acres over there is not for you, like you can't touch that? Am I asking this correctly? It's like when you have suites in a building, you kind of know where everybody is.
Yes.
On land, is it very defined, like this is your spot?
100%. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We try to do that, yeah.
So the easy question, are you buying sites that have vacancy? And I'm assuming that doesn't mean like you're buying 0% or 100% occupied. Like, are you ever buying something that's 60% occupied?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We will. At the moment, we're sort of shying away from buying, fully vacant sites, but definitely we're fine, buying some vacancy. Yeah.
Okay. So then the granular part goes, if there's a tenant already on site that's been there, let's say 10 years, they don't want to leave. I know when you own buildings, you can go to them and say like, hey, we want you to renew your lease, and we're going to like put granite in the bathroom for you and everything. How does that work with your type of tenant? Because they can't really afford, I'm assuming, to move all their shit off site while y'all pave it all and make it nice for 6 months and then move it all back. So like, how do you do CapEx or TI work on an existing tenant?
Oh yeah. Well, we typically wouldn't do that while they're there.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's the short answer.
That's the short answer. This is about as simple of an asset class as it gets. Okay. Then on the new sites, the vacant sites, this is maybe more applicable now. I feel like I've been talking in a circle for the last 2 minutes trying to get this out. You, again, in a typical building, you have a TI package. How do y'all think about like what you can offer the market? Is it listed as a price per acre, price per foot, plus we're willing to do X, or do you just wait to hear what the tenant needs and then underwrite that deal?
We typically do have some sort of TI allowance that comes with it. It depends on what the tenant wants. Yeah, I mean, we sort of come up with a base case, hey, maybe we need to repair the fencing here. We need to, update the lighting. And because we've done it enough times, we can sort of price that out, and we carry that. But yeah, so when we come up with the rent that we're asking, I think in the back of our heads, we're thinking that, also with that work coming with it.
You've mentioned the security like 2 or 3 times. Are we talking cameras? What does security mean on these sites?
Yeah, fencing first of all.
Okay,
right. It just needs to be physically secured.
Yeah.
And then depending on the importance of the goods being stored there in the business, you can add on. I'd say we do have cameras at most all of our sites that we've installed. That's a very low cost item, though, obviously.
Yeah.
And then as you go up the chain, full-time security guard, which is a little more expensive. but yeah, no matter what, the first concern of any tenant is just security.
What's the craziest use that you have on a site?
I'd have to think about it. Define crazy. We just have all sorts of like interesting businesses that you didn't like, I wouldn't have known existed. So maybe a different answer, but we had a site in actually in Dallas where the tenant was a tire shredder, and his whole business was shredding tires. And there's like massive, it's like, I didn't even know, like a 30-foot high like pile of shredded tires. I have no clue the business of that, but I just, okay.
Yeah.
And he left the site since then. But yeah, there's all sorts of, weird stuff. And one of our sites, a municipal user wanted to do snow storage. So,
Oh, wow.
So you can guess it's a northern city, but
Yeah.
you literally to store snow, because when they shovel or they sweep the streets, snow, some of that snow's got to go somewhere.
Got to go somewhere, man. Yeah, that's one of the things I think is interesting about what you do. And again, it's similar to kind of what we do, is you really get to see the backside of the backbone of America on these assets. These are not the tenants that are on the front page of, the fancy magazines, but they are the people that kind of make the world run. And I guarantee you, if we talk to that guy, like, why do you shred tires? He'd show us his P&L and we'd be like, I get why you shred tires. I'm going to tell my kid to grow up to be a tire shredder.